What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Venny back with another video. As I said in the comments of the last video last week of the 4-4-2 formation guide, or the narrow formation guide, I'm not too sure which one I actually dropped. I got the 4-2-3-1 formation guide. This is my new formation. It's a formation I used every year. Probably was my favourite formation for years, but this year with how the game sort of developed, like I didn't feel like 4-2-3-1 was effective enough in the meta. I still thought it was very strong in its own way, but I didn't think it played to the meta too well. I've had a change of heart. I feel like for me, I've been struggling with playing FIFA and just using other formations, but I'm not really enjoying, and that is because I've just been playing that sort of way of playing just because that's the way to play it, basically. That's the meta. And that's not like me, that's not my sort of play style. So I thought to myself, right, I'm going to be playing like my formation, what I enjoyed the most back in the day. You know, it sort of suits the way I build up and so on. So we've got the 4-2-3-1 formation, guys. I'm going to show you guys my tactics, what I'm using with it. And I'll go into detail a little bit more as well once we're there. Before I show you guys the actual tactics, don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here. Leave a like, leave a comment. Trying to hit them more consistent uploads. We've got one more tournament coming up this weekend, and then after that, if I'll be honest with you, it's going to be content season for me. Like, I'm going to be grinding the content for you lot. Hopefully getting daily uploads and maybe a little bit more, but we'll see. I have a few things planned, but all my focus right now is obviously onto the weekend of the Pro Qualifier, because if I do well in that, like I have to do really well in that, I can actually achieve maybe playoffs or something like that, and that means I have to play FIFA more anyway. But that is obviously a long way off. We obviously have to perform, and with FIFA you just never know, so I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself. Go in there, no expectations, and as I said, more consistent uploads definitely be coming. So let's get into the tactics. As you probably guys are like, shut up mate, just show me the tactics mate, I just want to know what you're using. So this is what I'm going to be using currently. It's defensive style, balanced, width 4, 7 depth. The reasoning of the 7 depth is because there's this thing in this game, is something what happens basically, is that your team does automatic offside traps, and you're probably thinking, but I don't want my team to do automatic offside traps because that means people are just going to free ball me. So it's a glitchy offside trap, if I'll be honest with you. It doesn't like push upon any of the attacking players. It sort of just pushes your line up and makes them sit onto their attacking player, so you have that like tighter interaction when they get the ball into their defender, into their attackers even, and that is very useful, especially just sort of how people were playing. You know, if somebody's playing a long sort of possession sort of style, you kind of need your team to be pushing up, and then you could force them back, and then they might make mistakes and so on, because they might be just getting fed up with it. Their width is on 4, mainly because I am using wing backs in the defence. So what I've noticed a lot of times when I'm using these wing backs, their position is a little bit off. So I put the width to 4 just because then they're a little bit more compact. When I have 5, I feel like they was all over the place, especially when I was using Kyle Walker and Reece James. I just felt like their positioning was really off. So I thought I'd go to 4 width just so it's more compact, and I don't feel they are moving out of place too much. They're still moving a little bit, but not enough for me to be like, oh my god, that's concerning, you know. But it was concerning when I was on 5, I'll be honest with you. Offensive style, balanced, width 5, players in the box 4. This comes down to preference really on how you want to play your team. If I'll be totally honest with you, I've been using between 4 and 5. I've been mixing up. Sometimes I like my team to be really compact and being able to do the 1-2s with my like front 4. When it compact is a lot easier. When it's on 5, you kind of sometimes are isolated. So if you come up against somebody maybe who's using a 5-back, I actually recommend dropping your width to maybe like 3 or 4, because then you've got this like more one-on-one situations, but your team's a lot more compact, so you can do the passing in between. But when it's 5, you're a bit too isolated, you know. So that's like my tip really when it comes to that. But if you're playing people using 4-4-2 narrows or 4-2-3-1 as well, just use your width from 5. I would say 4 or 5 preference once again, and you know you're gonna get them one-on-one situations where you want them, because the difference between 4-back and a 5-back, like attacking against it, if you're being isolated by a 1v1 on a 4-back, that's what basically will happen with your Ram and your Lamb. That's good. That's a good situation to be in, because that means you just got to beat them, and then you have an opportunity to either get the ball into the box or whatever you want to do with it from that point. If you play 5-back and you're getting that isolated onto the wings, because of the 5-back how it's set up, a lot of times they have like their wide centre mid coming in, they have the wing back and also the other centre back. So you've got 3 people to basically worry about instead of having maybe 1 or 2. and that is obviously concerning. So that's just a little bit of advice just to keep in mind when you're doing it. I spoke to a lot of pros most recently. Just because the tactic works against somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work against somebody different, you know. So I would say don't put all your eggs in one basket, but like I said, there is some ways you can sort of adapt and change your playstyle to make it work, in my opinion. Players in the box is 4. Once again, as I said in previous video, I kind of wanted to experiment with it all. I did try with like 8 or 9, and I didn't actually really like it. I didn't feel like they was actually getting in the box as much and getting into the right positioning where I want for build up and so on. So I put it back down to 4 just because that was like what I was most used to. Instructions. We should actually have come across as a sweeper keeper. I was wondering what was going on with my Neuer. My Neuer felt a little bit off when I've been playing some games recently. So come across as a sweeper keeper. It's obvious. RBXs are ridiculously overpowered this year. So if we can get that keeper obviously coming off the line ready for that, that's obviously good. Same thing with through balls. Everyone spams them. So if you've got sweeper keeper and you've got a quick keeper, they can pounce on it a lot quicker. And Neuer's obviously fairly fast. Stay back while attacking and overlap on the right back and left back. The main reason of having the overlap is if they do go forward, we want them wider. As I said, maybe when you have your team more compact, it's quite nice to have that like wider run if they do come forward from your wing backs. Because if you've obviously got them maybe like on balance, they might then do an inverted run and they sort of just start like sitting on top of each other, and that's just too much, you know. You need a good balance where people are sort of taking up. So yeah. Also, stay back while attacking for the counter attacks because of the through balls and so on. We have to obviously be cautious of that, but that doesn't mean because it's stay back while attacking they're not going to get in some decent positionings and like you can attack with them. And as I said, you might get this overlapping run if you trigger it and so on. So definitely recommend that. There's not many people I don't think are actually using it. Onto your right CDM, this will be your more defensive-minded player. As you can see, we've got a Toro Vidal. Man mark, stay back while attacking and cover centre. If I'll be honest with you, I recently put man mark on because I felt a lot of times with my 2 CDMs, especially on the counter attack, I felt like they was missing. I felt like they was just going all over the place. I did try man mark on both, but then my Hullet didn't really go forward, and I'll get into more details about Hullet in a second. But I put stay back while attacking, man mark, cover centre on the right CDM, just so I'm just a little bit more. So these guys are just a little bit more cautious, I guess, or where he's actually picking up is the decisions I want him. I feel like on balance a lot of times because I had put it on balance, I felt like my team was doing more the cut pass and this, and I don't really want that to always be happening. And so I'll put my mark on just to sort of counter it and just see what happens, and it's been working. I would say one thing. I'm not really too sure how this works in Weekend League because Weekend League's a different type of play style, a different type of way. I am using this against pro players. It's like my only like experience with. I've played a bit of Weekend League with it, and I'll be honest with you, like it's good, but there's just strange people in Weekend League. Let's just put it that way. So as I said about things like you need to adapt and be able to use other formations earlier in the video. I would consider that for Weekend League, but if you're like doing pro stuff or you just maybe just wanting to use 4-2-3-1, I do recommend these tactics. Anyway, as I said about Hullet though, he's on balance attacking support, just cover centre on him. Just so we have that extra man in the attack, you know, it's a little bit harder for people to sort of pick up everybody, especially if you get the runs from deep and you trigger it. It's sort of, a lot of times the wing backs will come inside and try and take up Hullet's sort of position, which then gives you that isolated option on the wing with Neymar or Lozano, depending on which side, and it's an easy goal from there, or chance, let's just say, because nothing's guaranteed in FIFA. So yeah, balance on Hullet, as I said, this would be your more attacking CDM. You can use both stay back while attacking, but just think you need to take risk in this game, and having more people in the attack is definitely an option for that. Just getting the box for crosses on the Ram and the Lamb. You can have come back on defense if you want that extra support. If you think, oh, you know what, I'm playing people who are really sweaty, they're always using like everyone behind the ball, they're using the 5 backs, just have it on balance then. And I would say this formation is actually pretty decent against 5 back, which is to my surprise, but it's because with 4-2-3-1, I would say one thing: you need to be mindful how fast you're attacking, I would say, with it, because there is definitely opportunities for the counter attack, but I think the best sort of results out of the 4-2-3-1 is actually when your team's set up and you know, you're going a little bit slower and then speeding it up once you're in the final third. I think that's when you get the best results out of 4-2-3-1. But as I said, getting a box for crosses on the Ram and Lamb. On the middle cam, nothing on him. I was using free roam for a little bit in the start of last week, but I took it off just because I just felt like a lot of times he was getting into positions I didn't want him to. He was a little bit inconsistent with free roam, and I said this, I think when you choose a formation, play it for a while, because then you're going to start understanding positioning what are coming up because of your tactics, because of the formation, and you're going to be able to attack a lot more fluid, if you've got that. Without having an understanding, like, it's a little bit harder. So I've gone for balance for now. Maybe in a little bit future I might like go free roam, like, because I maybe need that inconsistency of actually where people were going up. But I felt like balance, I was getting actually pretty decent results with Mbappe. And then on the striker, stay central, target man. On him, I'll use stay central. I think it's actually really good this year because I think of how good the through balls are, and especially if you get them one-on-one situations with your striker running against a defender, it's like, I would say like a 80% chance that you'll get the ball even if they read it. So yeah, having that stay central, obviously that means they're always ready for that middle through ball, and then I can just have my wingers focusing on the wings and so on, and then making sure he's scoring the goals. Target man on him, just preference. As I said, I was using a bit of balance just to mix attacks and getting behind a bit for a while as well, but target man was the one what I used last year, and I thought, you know what, I'll just copy what I did last year and put it on this, and it's been working. So that's obviously always good. This is my 4-2-3-1 tactics. As I said, I'll give you guys some reasoning behind it all during this video. If you guys want to see any other formations like 4-4-2 or whatever, let me know. Or if you just want to see my whole tactic list, I can also upload that in the coming weeks. But don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and peace.